Welcome back to the Band Guide. I'm your band guy, Colin, and today is going to be a little bit different. If you're on my email list, you saw yesterday that I sent out an email saying, hey, I'm teaming up with Joe Gilder to help you get amazing sounding recordings at home. If you don't know Joe Gilder, he is kind of the man for home studio recording. He has a great channel called Home Studio Corner, and he is so good at getting great recordings at home. And so today I wanted to bring him onto the channel to share with you the 3 biggest mistakes he sees people make when it comes to recording in their home studio. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Joe.
Hey, my name is Joe Gilder. If we haven't met, I'm a songwriter and producer here in the Nashville area. And today I want to talk to you about the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to recording. Now, I'm actually shooting this and I work out of my home studio. This is a room in my house over the garage. And my whole shtick is that you can make incredible sounding recordings in a home studio using average Joe equipment. I've got nothing against the big fancy multi-million-dollar studios, but you don't need that to make great music. However, there are a lot of mistakes to try to avoid, and that's what I want to help you with today. Mistake number 1, not having a militant focus on getting it right at the source. There's this phrase that plagues the audio world, and I'm assuming it plagues the video world as well. It's this idea of, it's not great, but we can fix it in post. Or, it doesn't sound that good, we can fix it in the mix. Guess what? You can't. Yes, there are a handful of things we can improve later down the line, but what you want to do is make future you super happy with what you're recording right now. The raw recordings that you record should sound incredible before you ever put any sort of processing on them. If you do that, if you focus all your attention on getting those raw tracks to sound as good as possible, the entire rest of the process is much easier and sounds 10 times better. This is one of the biggest aha moments I've seen from my students when they finally get this. They say, okay, I've heard you talk about getting it right at the source for a long time, but I've ignored your advice and I've just kind of slapped together some recordings and then spent all my time trying to mix them and make them sound good. But when I finally said, no, I'm not going to move on until I've recorded something that, without any processing, sounds amazing, it wasn't until I got to that point that I finally realized how important this is, and the quality of my music skyrocketed. Mistake number 2, boring productions. So once you learn how to record things and get good at that whole idea of capturing a good sound, a lot of people fall into the trap of just recording stuff that's fairly boring. One of the biggest mistakes I see is songs will have the same amount of energy from start to finish. There won't be any dynamic in the production. So if you look back at the songs you've produced and you see that every instrument is playing from start to finish, and there's no break, there's no dip, there's no let's pull everything back and then build up the energy again, you're probably missing huge opportunities to make your songs a lot more interesting. Go listen to your favorite album. Like right now, go listen to it. I guarantee on 9 out of the 10 songs, you're going to hear some form of this ebb and flow of dynamics. It might start big and then drop down for the verse and then build up for the chorus. Or it might start quiet and slowly build throughout the song. Or it might just be big, 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 have a little drop, and then big, big, big for the rest. Even with that example, that's much better than just all faders up, everybody playing 100% from start to finish. The more you can incorporate that into your workflow, the more exciting your songs are going to be. Another thing you can do to make things more interesting is find ways to add melody into your production. So yes, if it's a typical production with a lead vocalist, that's going to have a melody to it, but there's a lot more than that. Here in Nashville, they call them hooks. What are the little things in the song that are cute and clever and hummable? Meaning I can walk away humming that part. If you can sprinkle those throughout your productions, so maybe the guitar, instead of just playing down, 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 it can play boom, 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 boom. That sounds like a bass line more than a guitar part, but you get the idea. It's something melodic. Not busy, not a bunch of things just creating this cacophony of sounds, but strategically placed melodic elements throughout your production can make it sound way more interesting for the listener. Mistake number 3 is the biggest of all, not starting. Someone just emailed me, reminded me of that quote that done is better than perfect. I would say you can go a step further. Started is better than preparing. I meet a lot of people who are spending their time getting ready to make some music. They're studying videos on YouTube. They're tinkering with their software or their hardware. They're waiting until they get this piece of gear to finally really start honing in on making that. Just stop. Just stop. Guess what? The first song you produce is gonna sound pretty bad. The 10th song you produce will be a little bit better. The 100th song you produce, much better than that. There's just no other way. When you're working on a craft, such as producing music or woodworking or any other craft type activity, you really can't get better any other way than doing the work and just creating a bunch of stuff. As you create it, you'll learn the things you need to learn. You can get help along the way to make it easier and make your progress faster, but you could take the best recording class in the world and it won't matter if you're not applying what you've learned and actually making something. So regardless of all the recording advice you could hear from me or anyone else, start something. Like right now, grab your calendar and set aside 30 minutes to start something. I promise you it'll be worth it.
Okay, so get started. As Joe said, you're not going to get better if you never actually start. The best thing you can do is just put in the work. More time on the machine is going to lead to better results. There's just no two ways around it. The more you work at it with intentionality, the better you're going to get. You need enough knowledge, so you can't just ignore learning things, but you can't worry only about knowledge. No pro engineer is obsessed with learning every little detail. The way they get good is by learning enough to do what they want to do, and then doing those things over and over again and getting a little bit better each step along the way. Okay, so get it right at the source, use dynamics and melodies to create more interesting productions, and get started. Before you go, I want to give you something. I put together a 6-step checklist to a pro mix. It just walks through the 6 steps that all professional mixes have and how you can do them. It's completely free from the link in the description below, so be sure to pick it up. And once you've gotten it right at the source, once you've done your recording, applying these 6 steps in the mixing process, you're going to get something really, really amazing, really special. So be sure to pick it up from the link in the description below. It's really going to help you out. And if this video is helpful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week with another video.